Hello and welcome to another exciting episode of Token Podcast Reviews. I'm your host and sometimes referee, the friendly neighborhood Zach Stat Pearson, and today I'm joined by he who has been cast aside and exiled to the sea, along with his homies, a one Jupiter exile.
Thank you for having me. Super happy to talk about the series.
Yes, I know it is a crowd pleaser. And of course, I'm obviously joined by the Admiral to end all admirals, a one Officer 9000.
Sometimes you gotta work for the worst organization in the world. How y'all doing?
Okay, so for the uninitiated, which technically is just me, yeah, I don't actually hate One Piece, but I am far from any form of a lore master, and I really can't find a way to get interested in anything besides Zoro and Nico Robin. But half the reason I'm interested in Nico Robin is because I'm curious to what level of an asshole she is, but that's a whole nother matter of shit. So we're going to be discussing the live action Netflix season 2. We're going to be going about how we feel about it in a set order and, grading things as we go. Now, I don't really have like a number system in situations like this. I prefer the good old fashioned not worth a damn American grading system, with A+ being the pinnacle of peaks. So with that being said, Exile, you have the floor and let us know how this is going to work. Again.
Yep. So as the seasoned series veteran, today I will be the One Piece chauffeur, so to speak. And as we go through each of the arcs, we're going to get Zax's initial impression first, because he's the one who didn't know what was going to happen. And then after that, Officer and I, who have the perspective of having watched the series, read the manga, all that good stuff, will get into the differences in the way the adaptation handled things, what we thought was really impressive about that, how we think that things were improved, or the things we felt that were lacking. And all three of us will be chiming in basically at any time to get into how we felt about the production value, the costume design, the set design, and all of the other things that are just the general quality of the series, irrespective of the story. But along the way, we're necessarily going to be spoiling Zax regarding some stuff that happens in the future of One Piece, because the live action just tackles things in a different order. So, the first thing they tackle in the live action, and the first thing that we're going to be talking about, is the Loguetown arc, starting from the beginning of season 2. I think that they just covered it in one episode, but we get to see Buggy, Alvida, some other characters, Smoker, up until this iconic moment on the execution platform. So, Zax, what were your thoughts about this segment?
I like that there was actually logical continuity taking place. Now, I don't know another way to say it, but when it comes to Japanese cartoons, and also a lot of Japanese graphic novels that are specifically aimed, at the teenage boy demographic, literary comprehension is basically considered optional. And that's me being extremely, extremely polite about it. Now, you would think in a show like this, based on the source material, no one would bring up ship maintenance, ship repair, ship parts, restocking, and getting supplies, or they would just imply someone does it off screen. I like that they didn't do that. So, as far as story is concerned, I like about 80-90% of it. However, two things that have pissed me off for many years, because like I said, my knowledge begins and ends with the 4Kids version of this stuff. Why in the fuck would Luffy's dad save his ass, not tell him, hey, I'm your dad. But on top of that, he somehow figured out how to way to drag away Smoker, who was a literal particle substance, and we never find out what happens. There's not even a confirmation that he went and beat Smoker's ass for touching his child, as far as I know, even years later. So I get that there's a setup there. Also, I saw that fucking top hat with goggles shit again, which I don't like. I know he's not Sanji, but I know he's supposed to be somebody important to Luffy. But theoretically, you would not see him until almost maybe 10 seasons from now. This is the shit
Yeah,
I'm
you
talking
do know
about.
a couple things about the arc, or about the
Gee.
what's to come.
Yeah. And the time equivalent in the real world from this shit is almost 12 years. So how the fuck is that going to work in a live action setting? And then, if we want to go by cartoon settings, the mention of no, not the reveal, but the showing of Dragon. Going from the showing of Dragon to the confirmation that Dragon is Luffy's dad is about 7 years. Going from that time point, it's almost a whole ass another 7 years before Luffy learns one of the people he considers a brother has been with his dad this whole fucking time.
In terms of like the time to produce the arcs and stuff, yeah, pretty much, if I remember right.
Thereabout.
You gotta
Yeah.
you gotta settle in for them long reveals. It's an interconnected world. It takes a long time to talk about.
So for me, the biggest problem I have with this arc isn't even all the returning characters who were legitimate threats basically being a 15 to 20 minute laughing stock. Because that's what they were supposed to be. You know, the starter enemy is never really all that serious in cartoons like this or mangas and graphic novels like these. They're the starter enemy. They're not supposed to be. What pissed me off, and I mean the only thing about the fighting, at least in this case, was the fact that what's her name? Elvita, the one with the giant mallet.
Alvida, yeah.
Yeah. How the fuck did she get taken out by just crashing into a wall of stuffed plushies? Like, how the fuck does that knock you unconscious? Also, she can turn off the slide ability at her discretion. That part seemed like they didn't even follow their own physics and logic within the same episode they introduced them. And that is one of my only true pet peeves in the history of any literary anything. If you tell me your rules and then you break your rules in that exact same chapter, episode, page, fucking speech, I have a problem with it. But literally,
Right.
that's like, yeah, that's one of my legitimate only issues. I do like that there's a little bit of character development with Usopp, but it's Usopp. So character development practically doesn't exist because the minute it happens, at some point in time, he still reverts to being Usopp, unless it's like a group fight. Which also, if you think about it, that's in character. He's brave when there's a bunch of other meat shields in front of him.
All right, so we got a couple harsh takes, but I think it's fair in a lot of cases. Alvida is definitely still a joke character, even when she's played
Yeah.
up a little more threatening here. I think the way she gets taken out, I think that's 100% canon. I'm pretty sure that in the manga she also slips into a bunch of junk and doesn't get back up.
Feel like they could have made that a little less okay, whatever. If maybe
Stupid. It's
they
okay. You can
added
say stupid.
Oh, yeah, so she only ate her fruit a very short time ago and hasn't really gotten a feel for what the powers really are yet. That okay. I could kind of accept that and maybe have her again show up later, but
I think what they should have done for it is have her slide through while she's holding her mace, and have the big hammer like fall over into the pile of stuff afterwards to communicate her taking a bigger hit.
Yeah, like
She does
little
get a little
changes
bump.
like that would not have bothered me.
But we all got to give hands up to the actress whose name I don't think I'm gonna pronounce correctly, Isarelis Paulino, for losing a shitload of weight for the role.
I mean, she
Yup.
just got lipo, but to be fair, uh, that is a cool ass name.
But at
Oh
the
yeah,
same time, he lost a whole lot of weight, but nowhere near to the point of weight loss compared to in the manga when they showed her where she was a little ridiculous.
Oh yeah, I mean she's
I
like
feel like
hyper ugly in
it was,
first appearance.
and then turns into a
The One
like
Piece body.
yes, the One Piece female body. But instead, we've got she's still plus size, but it feels like a step in a good step in the direction of body positivity. She's
Mhm.
yes, she's still a bit big, but not ungodly thin.
They
'Cause
do
I
a
feel
good
like
job from the costuming side to emphasize both sides of it, like giving her
yeah,
bulkier clothing the first time through.
yeah, and then the inclusion of corset, he showed up again to still have the very obvious curves, just not in human proportions.
I do wonder if they're going to work in both Alvita and Buggy into an unscheduled appearance sometime in the next 2 seasons, because otherwise we're not going to see them for a long time.
I'm okay with that.
I would be fine with that too. Yeah.
Buggy though, like I'm a big Buggy fan. Not only is Jeff Ward doing a great job of Buggy, I love what Buggy does in the series. He's great to keep the humor in. He's like super high. He's pretty well produced in the live action, I think. And I love having Luffy look down on him when he shows up, call him wrong names and all that other stuff.
Yes.
But as for some other stuff going into Loguetown, I loved the adaptation of Zoro's sword purchasing scene, which was like pretty much shot for shot exactly as it was.
Yup.
So are we skipping over that Kalina is somehow basically Velma Dinkley? Are we skipping that?
That's
I mean, it's the same actress, but
yeah.
Wait, she did play Velma at some point?
yeah, isn't that Velma? Let's see, Julia Rowald. I'm on the IMDb right now because I'm terrible with actors and actresses.
Oh, don't worry. We do it all the time when we do a review.
Yup.
Oh, is
It's
she
that
not?
handy.
I could have sworn she was from the first live action Scooby Doo.
No, that would make her like damn near 50.
Oh man, I'm too old. Wow, well, she's a dead ringer for it.
Yes, exactly. Her and that well, I mean, she's Asian, but that stubby Asian girl who was like in that one show about a bunch of con women who were for fabricating fake money. Like they got that Velma quality going.
Okay, no. So the original, the Velma from the first one was Linda Cardellini. So yeah, I guess I guess Julia Rowald's just kind of a facial clone of a younger Linda Cardellini.
Yes. Oh. Huh. Well,
Okay.
sometimes that's how it
Just
be.
as a reminder, y'all can use the whiteboard. The YouTube audience is gonna see that.
Yep,
As
I'm
y'all know,
I'm
Netflix
busily
is kind
going
of a
through my
dick.
notes.
Oh no, that's fine. You can put them on there too. As y'all know, or as the audience is aware, YouTube is a well, not YouTube. Netflix is a bit of a what's a good word? Dick when it comes to referencing their shit without a license. So depending on the video or just how somebody feels that day, we've had issues where even though we're just putting up a public trailer on a loop, the whole video is under threat of a copyright strike. Not, oh,
That's
you have to share monetization or you can't monetize it notification. That's basically like saying hi on YouTube. No, I mean, we're under threat. Or my personal favorite, everything will be fine. And then a month later, an attempt at a copyright strike. And it gets more annoying with Hulu shit. I don't know. Well, no, neither of you were around for the Dave show on Hulu. The review I did for that. That one was 9 uploads. Fucking 9.
Jesus.
Yeah. And this was after I told them, hey, we're only using publicly available trailers set to a loop. We are not claiming ownership, nor do we attempt to claim ownership, nor are we seeking monetization. And it didn't matter. Every single time, somebody was directly fucking with it. So I just said, okay,
Yikes.
here's what's going to happen. I ain't going to play this game. I am literally going to modify the hell out of this until you can't copyright. Because whoever was doing it manually. Or it's one of those automated machines Angry Joe used to bitch about. So I was like, nah. This is going through. I'm a video editor, remember? I am going to layer so much shit on here. Your little AI search bot is going to lose its brain, lose its mind. I'm going to make this, I don't care if I make this YouTube video look like it got Tourette syndrome. This shit's going up now because now I'm legitimately pissed.
All right, but other stuff I wanted to cover for Loguetown. Was very happy. Officer and I were talking about this before we got into the call proper. Very happy they kept the pants ate your ice cream line by Smoker.
Yes. It was a really important establishing character moment for him.
The fuck?
Yep. When that little girl bumps into him and he says, "My pants ate your ice cream," that is 100% canonical.
That's not a mistranslation that they put in the show.
It is exactly what it is. It is not original content. It's not new. That is an essential part of Smoker's introduction. Because it's a save the dog moment. It shows that Smoker is the first Marine we're looking at that's not an asshole. Because in the manga at this time, we don't have Garp actually hanging out.
He's the third. It's Garp. Garp's number 2, who apparently is like a legendary swordsman, but he's never actually swung his sword in the books or something like that.
Nah, he doesn't. He just punches people.
And then there's fucking Smoker. But if y'all know anything about that guy, I want to know some shit because I know, based on how One Piece works, he probably won't do anything until 50 years from now.
Oh, about Smoker? Nah, he's going to be with us for big chunks of the next season.
Garp's number 2, you mean?
Yeah, Garp's number 2. The yeoman of Garp.
Oh, that guy.
He's like a legendary samurai with a sword or some shit.
Yeah, he's supposedly really good, but we're not going to see him do anything on screen. I think ever.
We might for the live action, but in the manga,
yeah, I think we're not going to see him do anything until like maybe Garp will get some scenes towards the end of Alabasta. Otherwise, maybe not until Marineford.
I could see that, yeah. But other moments from Loguetown. I'm just gonna call it Roguetown. Sorry, because I feel like that's probably closer to what they intended it to be. Because a rogue is a criminal, and this is where Joel D. Rogers started his pirate career. But we'll mention that when we get to the Mylan part. But the addition of Nico Robin attacking the Marine base at Shellstown, and the honestly really impressively done CG they did for her attack.
Yeah,
it was
pretty well done.
It was amazing.
Very imposing showing for the character.
That and I don't believe in the manga we got to see anything of I think the discussion of Mr. 7 or 3.5 as they called him. Nice little joke there. I don't think that discussion happened until later, and they certainly weren't discussing it over his dead body.
Yeah, I think in the manga, Zoro definitely makes a reference to Baroque Works at one point trying to recruit him. I think they probably talk about that for the first time around Whiskey Peak, maybe
Which
shortly
I
after.
think they also did that for the live action, but that extra scene there, it definitely added more to the this build up of Baroque works we're getting until we get to Alabasta.
Yep, and it builds up on how the addition of Mr. Seven before his division was an extra flash forward or foreshadowing that they did for the season one of the live action as a kind of a promise, like, come on, guys, give us that season two. We're going to get you Baroque works, and they're all going to look ridiculous.
Yes. Yes, indeed. And they did, or they do in fact look quite ridiculous, especially what was it, Miss Valentine's Day?
Oh yeah, yeah. They captured the absurdity of her outfit very well. And talking about absurd looks and outfits, we got to get into the biggest addition to Loguetown is that we get to see Bartolomeo.
Yes. So early.
Yep. Because that character is post time skip, and then even after the time skip, another 2 islands deep? Three? Three, because Fishman Island's in the time skip.
Yeah.
The chemistry and the moments between Bart being intimidated by Buggy and Buggy just like immediately getting the knife off of him was great.
And the establishing of, Bart's idolization of Luffy. Because he got to see directly, oh, yeah, this is Straw Hat himself, laughing in the face of death.
And he hands the straw hat back to him after the execution platform crumbles.
Yo.
So yeah, if we get, I don't know, 10, 12 seasons of the live action, that can pay off.
It could. I hope it does.
Well, let's hope we hang into it. All right, there's some other stuff that was added or dropped from Loguetown because it's a pretty, big, complicated thing in the anime. But I'd love to move on from this point because I do really want to talk about Reverse Mountain and Laboon. So,
I'm just going to mention one last thing about the Roguetown arc.
yeah,
When Nami said, you thought we were going to skip it, was a very nice little subtle jab at the audience.
You thought? Wait, what did she say that about?
With regard to skipping Roguetown.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, they do a full camera look moment.
Because a lot of fans were expecting them to just skip that arc and jump to going up, Reverse Mountain. But nope. Makes sense they included it though, because there's a really important stuff there. But yeah, Reverse Mountain.
Yeah. So, Zax, what was your take on Reverse Mountain and Laboon?
This was the equivalent of filler. Like, this is the live action equivalent of filler. Because even I know they could have skipped 70% of that. Also, yes, I'm aware that they showed the skeleton guy before he died. However, that skeleton guy was the main reason I never got into One Piece proper. And that's not a hyperbole. Because literally, apparently, every third or fourth conversation he has with Nico or Nami is about him being able to see and or sniff panties, which I don't know how it works because he's a skeleton. I don't understand why he's so horny with no fucking boner. Yes, make all the puns you want to, but I legitimately mean it. Because even I figured out very early on, this is a story of repetition about revolutionaries pretending that they're pirates. I get that. Not really, but I get the concept. That's not my problem. My problem is, why are the equivalent of Robin Hood style revolutionary pirates, and in Luffy's case, second generation at that, and in Zoro's case, completely illogical as all shit? Why the fuck is he even allowed on the ship or within a 3 mile radius of children? And I still have no way. Oh, well, he's comic relief. Well, first off, the main character's comic relief, Usopp's comic relief, Sanji's comic relief. There are only three main characters in the main cast that are not technically comic relief. And that's Zoro, fucking Nico Robin, and what is it called? Well, I guess technically that octopus chef would be comedy related. So really it's just two. It's Zoro and fucking Nico Robin. Everybody else on some level at different points is literally comic relief. And yet none of them ask about sniffing fucking panties. Also, furthermore, this shit's just kind of brushed over. Like, oh, boys will be boys. Kind of fucked up shit, the negative connotation, not the positive one. So, I got like 3 chapters into that shit, and I just got fed up with this character because I don't think there's an explanation why he's undead. I don't think there's an explanation, as far as I know, why nobody freaks out at this living bag of bones, or why him doing that is tolerated. So,
Well, I am glad that the live action has largely dropped some of the weird perversity humor that you get because, it's a young boys manga.
Yeah.
even no, I get that, and I'm happy that they're doing that. But this isn't about being a young boy, man. It's about just good writing. This is what I meant when I said earlier about if there's one place where literary comprehension and literary literacy goes to die, or double L goes to die, it's shit like this, and it really shouldn't, because it sets people up to think that this is good storytelling. Now, before the internet tries to crawl up my ass, I am not saying the totality of One Piece's writing is terrible. What I'm saying is character development is ass. But to be fair, apparently that's just considered a sacrifice that everyone just agrees to, because most of these characters don't actually have character development. They just get involved in somebody else's story, help them out because they like, respect them, or they just don't like bad guys, despite themselves being such. And they go and save by overthrowing a corrupt regime of some type, whether it's a mob boss, kind of like uh whoever the guy Nami used to work for is, whether it's the world government, Arlong, or whether it's the world government, literally, not metaphorically, or or a legitimate warlord. Like, I get it. Y'all are revolutionaries. That's cool. But tell me how Nami's personality is any different from after the Arlong arc. Tell me how Zoro has ever had character development, not training, character development. And is Sanji even capable of changing? Because you got to remember, at this point, these characters are over 30 years old. And I know One Piece is not a coming of age story. In fact, as far as I know, Japan doesn't have that as a movie trope, the concept of coming of age story. Let me zoom out so I can see whatever the fuck.
I mean, like, there's so many coming of age stories when you get into this anime and manga, especially some of the older ones. I think they've fallen out now
No, I mean
because everybody
specifically
wants
One Piece.
something cheap and
One
quick
Piece is
now.
not a coming of age story.
Oh,
Also, if
One
you hit
Piece,
Shift
probably
Enter,
less so.
that'll line break so it could fit in the whole frame.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. Well, I'm a little zoomed out, so can you not see that on your frame right now?
No, and I'm at default.
Okay, let me zoom back in and move this again.
Yeah, you just got to hit Shift Enter
Yeah,
to make a break in the line.
break that.
But yeah, I that is one of my legitimate issues, and do not get me wrong. We all know it's not a thin line, it's a barrier, a thick barrier between respecting the source material and doing what you want to do. You can't bullshit it like everyone else has tried to do. There's a reason why no matter how many Marvel movies come out, no matter how many Marvel shows come out, no matter how many movies based off of a previous work of fiction come out, people always judge you by how you respect the source material. I totally get that. But that's not the problem I have. My problem is this is one of those rare opportunities to add without taking away, to add without subtracting. And I know it's too early. It is way too early for them to even have legitimate character development. But we kind of see it with Zorro internally. And I like that because first off, that whole fake hallucination thing is kind of weird and creepy. I think they just wanted to do more scenes with the guy who plays Hawkeye.
Oh yeah, they completely wanted to keep the actor in.
But if you talk to anybody who's been training to get better after being blown out by somebody else, Zorro was doing exactly what you're supposed to do. Zorro was going on an internal training arc. And the reason that I respect that is because Zorro had one fucking goal this whole time. I want to become the or one of the, or be considered the or one of the greatest swordsmen who was alive. And then he got blown out by Mihawk. So he is going on his internal struggle because he understands the people he are with are not the people who can help him train necessarily. So he tries to find ways to improve himself. Here's the problem though. It's Zorro. That's a solitary thing to do. And instead of devoting an entire episode to it, which I get it, that would be crazy. It'd be fun for me. They just basically make it so he's having fucking hallucinations. Bro, no. What?
All right, I want to talk more about what they're doing for Zorro's growth and how they focus on Zorro when we get into Whiskey Peak. But I want to cut back on something you said earlier, because you were talking about them making cuts and changes and how they respect the source material. And the Laboon arc as it exists in the live action is like probably 70% shorter and very, very different. And the changes they make to it set up the character growth of Luffy in the way that they're going to tell his character growth throughout the Alabasta arc in a very important way.
You're telling me that entire whale had its own fucking arc?
Oh yeah, it's like probably 3 or 4 episodes.
That is depressing. But continue.
I mean, everything's longer in the anime. So of course, in the anime, the whale is like so goddamn huge that they are inside the whale for the entire arc. The inside of the whale is like painted to look like the sky. Crocus lives inside the whale the entire time. It's very ridiculous and it's difficult to like get into because no part of the arc actually feels like anybody's inside of a whale. The stakes don't really hit because there's like he's like built a porthole into the side of the whale. Like the whale's basically a submarine in the manga because of modifications that Crocus has made to its body.
Crocus,
that's all very
man,
like,
right?
Yeah. He's the old man with the weird flower hair thing going on.
Bro, someone please tell me, why is it so bright inside of a fucking whale? Like, I would have been able to take that shit way more seriously if they had dim lighting and everyone had to run around with a lantern or a torch. And also, they actually showed when Zorro was fighting instead of Usopp hearing the noises. That shit was so dumb to me.
Oh, you mean when Sanji's going up against Mr. Nine?
Oh, Sanji, yeah. When Sanji is fighting, it's like,
yeah.
Why aren't
I did think it was interesting that they chose to cut away on that and like have that be off screen. Although Mr. Nine is like joke tier power level, so I'm not surprised they didn't want to spend a ton of time on it. It might be that that actor is just not there for choreography reasons, because he was eating up his lines and so beautifully in character the rest of the time.
Yeah.
I really
So
love how
ridiculous.
he sold the smarmy asshole.
I mean, he's an asshole, but he was a noble asshole.
Yep.
Yep, he comes around in the end, and his character comes around in the manga too. Although they like compress Whiskey Peak in a few really good ways that make that hit better. But yeah, in terms of Laboon, of course, the other big change about it, since Luffy's on the outside the whole time, Luffy's hearing about the Roomba pirates, and as Zax mentioned, we see this bit that's setting up Brook for later. I love the casting and the costuming they did for Brook. I think
It
it's going
was
to work
so
really.
good. It was. They got the perfect actor for, honestly, for both, his non, skeleton form and his skeleton form, because I don't think acting. He's just going to do voice acting instead.
I don't know who that guy is, but I wouldn't have been mad if they had chosen T-Pain.
I could see that. Your mention of that remind me of how I could see from Drum Island, Dr. Correja as Jamie Lee Curtis, but that didn't out.
Well, I think she even like called out that she would like to have gotten the role or would love to have done that because she is familiar with the series.
Oh, you talking about
But
Jamie Lee Curtis?
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah, I
think
actually
her
did see
feeling is
exactly what
probably
she said.
too much.
I think she was on a late night show or something. She said, "Yes, I would die my ass off for that role, something like that." But she knows she can't do it because despite how good of an actor she does not have the belly. But she does know Katie Seagal personally, and she's known her for years, and she's happy that one of her friends got the role. But she thinks she couldn't do it because she doesn't have the belly. Don't nobody fucking care.
Exactly.
I like seeing Jamie Lee Curtis in anything. I like Jamie Lee Curtis as an actor.
Same.
Let's
But
see.
yeah.
So the one they did bring in for Brooke is, let me see if I can pronounce this correctly, Marshall Chana Bachanan. I'm not sure of much else he is with, but I did like his performance. Looking forward to seeing if we can get him back if the series can go on long enough.
Same. It was Thriller Bark that we get Brooke, right? Or was it a little bit before that?
No, it's Thriller Bark. Because we have to actually go to, Spooky Island.
Yep.
Well, Spooky, not Island. But the other big thing, of course, for Laboon is that we cannot punch out Laboon in the live action, which is great. Because, of course, in the manga, originally, Luffy fights Laboon for a while and then, declares himself to be Laboon's rival. But in the live action, Laboon, despite being smaller, doesn't actually care about getting punched by Luffy. It's like a momentary distraction, and he has to sing, which he only knows to do because this time around we got the story of the Roomba pirates. Binks's brew was set up in season 1 when they had the scene with Shanks's crew singing it. So we get that set up. Kinship with animals is an ongoing thing about Luffy's character.
I want to say each arc has at least a little bit, has something of that dropped in. Some significantly more notable than others.
Mm-hmm.
Like,
and the thing that I think is setting up his character growth, which is also big in his interactions with Vivi, as well as Laboon, is they're setting up you cannot fight through everything. You need to pick your battles. You need to be a smarter leader. So Laboon is the first example of something that he cannot punch through in the way it's handled in the live action. And we get that delivered on more and more as we get his interactions with Vivi going through the live action. But that change is not only logistically better because we don't get this weirdness about the inside of the whale not feeling like the inside of a whale, but
Or
we
them
also get better
casually
thematic through
swimming
line.
around in the stomach. Instead, we get
Yeah.
no. There's stomach acid there.
Yeah, they actually
We
have the
don't want
cutaway. They have the cutaway to demonstrate that, hey, it's a meaningful threat this time.
Usopp nearly falling into it. I felt that was like a nice little thing to add in there. That and Vivi helping them out,
Yeah,
which setup of she's not actually a villain at all.
because
But
I
we
think
get
at this point in the manga, she's just villain-ish.
yeah.
She's incompetent, but she's a villain.
I want to say no. I don't believe her duck was there until Whiskey Peak, but the live action
Yeah.
included that.
Karu's introduction is Whiskey Peak, I believe.
Yeah, we're probably gonna get Karu in the Alabasta arc. I hope.
I think so. Maybe not for as many scenes as they're originally there.
Yeah, no idea what the fuck
because
that is.
CGI budget.
Yeah, so Vivi, this starts to show up starting from the next arc. She has a riding duck that sticks around with them on the crew, and is
Oh
a,
yeah,
is
the
a great
chocobo.
soldiery creature. Yeah, basically, they got chocobos.
Yep.
But they have not shown that so far, and they have mentioned it several times. But we're probably not going to see that for a while because of CGI budget things.
Which fair. It would be hard to get a practical effect version of that duck.
Yeah, it's pretty intensive because, and also there's like a whole troop of ducks. They have outfits. They're carrying stuff,
Hypersonic Duck Squad.
and a rideable CGI thing is a big challenge because you have to negotiate the actor onto that, onto some kind of rig.
It's tricky, sure.
All right,
So,
officer, is there anything else you can recall about the
Uh,
Laboon arc that we need to cover?
I feel like I appreciate that they had the reveal that Old Man Crocus was with Bull Roger, but I feel like the mention of specifically Laugh Tale is weird.
Mm-hmm.
And also, as I think back one moment to Roguetown, the talk between Roger
And Garp?
and Garp about Roger's son was. I can see why they put it there, but I also feel like that was a little.
Yep, because we're not originally meant to hear about that until what would probably be like season 5 or 6 in the live action. So that's pretty far ahead.
Yeah, but I don't mind that stuff being there. It's little references for those of us who've been following One Piece for a long time to go, ooh,
And perhaps misdirects for those who don't know what they're getting into.
that.
Yes, me, because I have no idea what the fuck that shit was about.
Yep, and you won't for a while. Theoretically.
We'll see.
All right, so the next bit to get into is talking about Whiskey Peak, and and Zach's already mentioned a couple things about Whiskey Peak that I wanted to make sure we called out. Talking about like Zoro kind of getting psyched up before that, the bits with Mihawk, because Whiskey Peak is a huge arc for Zoro.
Okay, well, my feelings on Whiskey Peak was first and foremost two things. I both am offended and I have to commend, which is a weird statement in and of itself, the choreography stunt team. Because I know for a fact that once I saw, and this is from the maybe 3-ish years when I was technically behind the scenes staff or production assistant, line producer assistant, blah, blah, blah. They fucked over whoever that choreographer is and they did it on purpose. There was literally 100 fucking people There was literally 100 people in that fight sequence that they made Zoro go through, right?
Mm-hmm.
It was
And
not.
and I knew to look up as soon as possible. Did they actually get time to prepare, or did they just tell them a few hours or maybe a day ahead of time? Oh yeah, we're gonna have like 100-person sequence that we need you to make. We need it to either be 100 people or make it look like 100 people. And I was fucking right. And that fucking pisses me off. Because here's what I think. If you know you have a finite budget and you can't pull some bullshit off with a finite budget, don't try to trick someone into brute forcing by saying you got to do it. It's mandatory, but you got a few days to do it. Because that is stressful. And that's how you can almost guarantee there's going to be somebody who gets hurt. It doesn't have to be death level, but they get hurt in a way that they shouldn't have to. Literally, one of the first things that happened when Zoro has an episode on that little One Piece podcast, which ended up on YouTube. First thing they said, yeah, we didn't even know that shit was going to happen until like a day beforehand. And I was just like, that is such fucking bullshit. And they got like 60, 70, close to 100, if not 100 people. So, officer, I don't know where you're getting your shit from, but if the people who were there said it was basically that, I'm going to go with them. Now, that being said, compliments are due. Because if it wasn't for that two characters, Vivi's bodyguard and
Graham.
yes, Guram and the Booger Flinger, I would have enjoyed all of that. Because that was the perfect amount of, I don't know if we have a term for it, but I call it serious camp. That is the type of shit that I think they have the potential to carry through this whole series, or, you know, introduce a, why you keep making your font bigger every time you make something?
I
This
don't
is-
know what's controlling the font. I just click and start doing stuff and it gets bigger.
I think if you click the
corners, just grab the edges. Once you select the
grab-
text box, just grab the edges. But
Do I
no,
do
this,
I grab the edges and drag? It's I can't get it.
yeah. Look at what I'm doing. See, when you drag the corner, it gets bigger.
Yeah, my mouse doesn't hover the corner and like.
No, it's not supposed
there
to.
it is.
You
It
just
finally gave
okay. There you
finally
go.
gave it to me.
Yeah. So fucking, and serious camp is one of those subgenres that I think doesn't really exist, but shows like this could make it exist if they stayed in that limbo area, that hard to balance tightrope of serious camp. Because a lot of the people in this show I can't fucking take seriously. But what stops me from losing interest isn't, oh, they're such good actors and they're dedicated to the craft. No, you can be good actors and I'll still say, nah, I'm checking out. It's the fact that I'm curious if they're going to be able to pull it off for the majority of this series, or if they're going to be able to pull it off in select episodes, which at that point, I'm really only going to be watching if Exile, Officer, or, you know what, even Kelly, because Kelly looks too much like Nico Robin, decide they want to do a follow-up review for the next season.
Yeah, because the costuming team is going crazy with this stuff, and it
I don't
looks,
think they're trying that hard. Don't get me wrong, I do like what they're doing, but it's a one-to-one situation, so they're following a fucking blueprint. None of it's original.
Oh yeah. But they're getting the anime stuff to like actually come out. Like they do these like insane hairstyles and crazy stuff. And that's like the part of serious camp like you're talking about. It's the stuff on screen is patently ridiculous, but to an extent
I'm
like the
glad you said that.
characters are taking it seriously.
Yes. And that's one of the things that kept the good seasons of Power Rangers, where there was writing and character development, and it wasn't just, hey, let's copy the exact shit the Japanese did, or let's not do any of that, and then we forget to give half the cast actual character development or personality. I can't remember which season it was, but this was obviously when I wasn't watching, but I only know about it because it happened, and it was one of the first times I've ever seen it happen in the history of Power Rangers. When Nickelodeon had Power Rangers, they had one season where the writing was so bad that the actor who played the Red Ranger openly stated on social media and in public, my character does not have a character. There is no character to my character. And I just thought that was the most hilarious shit ever. So And then people wonder why. Well, why does everybody give all the old shows so much of regard? Because there was actual writing to go alongside with the beating up of your Saturday morning textbook enemy that's gonna blow up and after you do a cool gangster pose with your homies. Remember, kids, whenever you want to fight, bring your homies. Anyways, and that's a good life lesson to learn. But anyways, that's a very rare spot to be. And the closest I've seen to serious camp outside of this is like Supernatural. And look how long Supernatural ran. Supernatural was supposed to be done at season 6 or season 7. Kripke left because that was the end of all the shit he wanted to do. They kept it going, but instead of it turning into a Walking Dead situation, it literally found a second audience, which almost no show does. Okay? And then it went on to have an entire season or season and a half get a cartoon adaptation. And it's also getting not a remake, but a sequel show. And I'm just like, that can't happen unless you have an audience that likes what you're doing, or an audience that gets what you're doing in a rare format. And if you think about it, it was basically soap opera style action show, which they pretty much died as soon as Walker Texas Ranger went off the air. Also, just to be clear, fuck Chuck Norris, but that show had a very unique audience. It was basically Walker Texas Ranger and Renegade were in this unique spot of being action shows, but they still had the drama. So I won't say an action show is only for men. That's just flat out sexist at this point. We understand that. We can't just assume 90s logic of genres are somewhat completely dominated by an entire sex group. Yeah, you can still do that with music, but that's a different ball game. That's a different form of media. I don't need somebody to waste my time or their own time to go and do J-pop and K-pop analytics to discover 80% of the audience is female. Wow, that's a massive waste of time. By the way, someone actually did that. Some company actually paid money to confirm what the fuck everybody already knew. But I'm not going to go there.
But yeah, I think there's a big audience for a lot of camp. I mean...
Yeah, but serious camp is rare, though. That's why I think the show could work.
And they haven't done it in a long time, for sure. But just like Supernatural, like the audience wants to see Buffy the Vampire Slayer shoot a rocket launcher at a demon. Like, that'll sell. And we're missing
actually do that?
I'm pretty sure that's a scene in Buffy.
Oh my god! I've never. I always thought Buffy was just like the tackiest shit ever. So I only saw 2 full episodes, the pilot, and I was like a toddler. And then someone kept telling me that they accidentally fucked around and made one of the best episodes in television history when her mom died. They weren't lying, but that's where my Buffy knowledge ends.
Yep. And like when a lot of those shows start tacky and then they get their legs under them like a couple seasons in and then they start like printing gold. There's a few things like that. I don't know if you saw the more recent Evil Dead series. That was really fun campy.
Bro, I didn't know it got a series. I only know about the movies.
Yeah, Evil Dead, I think it was called.
Yeah. Can you watch that? That was fun.
I'm gonna try to find that later at some point. Like my Evil Dead knowledge outside of the movies is that the character has appeared in 3 video games and they just re-released one of the last games he appeared in.
I think that TV series was actually a continuation of the movie.
Yeah, it's in the same canon, and it is like taking place like later on. I mean, he's appropriately aged. Let's see. Yeah, the synopsis: Ash has spent the last 30 years avoiding responsibility until the Deadites come back.
Yeah.
Well, avoiding responsibility was kind of like his speciality. In fact,
pretty much.
That's kind of why I think Evil Dead is even so memorable, because whenever do you get a horror movie / I don't know, maybe just a horror themed movie where the main hero, if you can call him that, is essentially an asshole.
Yeah, it really carries on the spirit of the older movies. Much the same way that McKenyu brings along that serious camp spirit into Zorro, into this Whiskey Peak arc. So one thing to mention real quick is he got jacked.
Who got jacked?
The actor for Zorro, McKenyu. His biceps are insane.
Was he not already buff in the first season?
I think he was fit in the first season, but he did not have can't wrap your hand around the biceps in the first season. The man has put on the canonical biceps.
Canonical biceps.
The canonical biceps.
Just that,
It's
that
crazy
sentence
work.
alone
Zorro
is just
is
funny.
ripped.
But I don't know what it came down to in terms of their prep work for that insane bar fight scene, but they had to have some awareness of some of the parts about it because the set design for that scene was incredible. We've got like a 3-story bar fight scene with like a walkway, this gangplank. We're doing rope swings. And
Yeah, like I said,
did
if you
absolutely
look at the podcast that is connected to it. Each episode is a different person talking to a different person. And I didn't give a shit about none of it. But I saw Zorro though. So I was like, okay, let me fuck with Zorro. And basically, they didn't even really talk about the show. They just talked about how annoyed they were that they didn't get a warning that they were even going to have to film that. They only got, like I said, a day's notice or 2 days notice.
Damn. What I did hear about it after the fact is that McKenyu made a point of like talking with other people on the show to say like, hey, this really has to be 100 guys because the people at home will count. And they had him count in the scene to match.
Yes, officer.
Yeah. Hey, you're right. Fuck you.
I appreciate that. Fuck you too.
But yeah, let's see. They didn't change that much about Whiskey Peak. They just kind of condensed things. They moved the scenes around because originally things go out to the street. Although I think they did make the best scene cut of the entire season. Officer, you know what I'm going to say?
I believe so.
Spell it out.
Is it the saxophone shotgun?
No. I would not mind if they had the saxophone shotgun. They cut the fight between Zorro and Luffy.
True. Luffy was pissed that Zoro killed them all.
Why was he pissed that he killed them all?
Because in this arc in the anime and manga, Luffy's just kind of being a dope. And he's like, these Whiskey Peak guys treated us so nice, and you turned on them, Zoro. How dare you? It's terrible.
Yeah.
It feels like it's just raw shonen bullshit.
Yes, that's what this shit is.
And they cut it, which definitely for the better.
No. Characters having issues with each other is what can build character. Or, I guess in the One Piece world, basically resolves nothing and means nothing. Because, and this was legendary because I heard about it. When I asked my friends when I was little about what's going on in One Piece land, just because, I was curious, they was like, oh yeah, Usopp and Luffy got into a big ass fight and Luffy kicked him off the ship. Oh, well shit, what does Usopp do now? Oh no, he's still on the ship. He calls himself the Sniper King. And everyone knows it's Usopp and they don't want him to go, but Luffy actually doesn't know that it's not Usopp. So you're saying they took a perfect chance for character development and said, fuck it.
Man, you are going to get some angry comments.
You have severely overestimated the Token Games, or not even Token Games, Token Podcast fan base. As I tell everybody, no matter how much time passes, if I get more than 70 comments a year, it will be a miracle.
All right, you heard him, audience. Get in the comments. Zax has not seen that arc.
Do you
He's
want
talking about it secondhand?
If we even get fucking 20 comments, 20, just 20, I will fucking give you my whole ass laptop, and I'll give you a rechargeable 145 watt, 25,000 milliamp power bank to go with it.
Shit, I ain't even made a bet, and I could use a laptop.
Well, we'll see. I
Let
suppose.
me see with the control panel. Because I ain't gonna pretend I know my shit by heart. I should, but I don't, because I can go to the control panel. Let's see what we got here. Now, oh no, the audience can see this, but I'm gonna recite it for y'all. 13th generation Intel Core i7, 13700HX, 2.10 gigahertz. Still, after all these years, can't tell if a fucking processor is old or new. RAM, 32 gigs. Where is the graphics card?
Oh, we don't got to get too deep in the specs. We got more stuff to hit. We'll be here all night.
Yep.
6 gigabytes of on a 4050 Ti or Ti. It's technically Ti, but no one knows that. So everyone just says Ti. I mean Ti.
So something I'm incredibly surprised that they held on to in any way, shape, or form was the enchanting vertigo dance.
Yes. I didn't. I thought they would skip that.
You mean the strip dance?
Well, it's not stripping in either case. In the original, it is a perfume dance, and it seems like it's a soporific perfume, and the dancing doesn't really seem to do anything.
It fans the perfume around, which is the hallucinogenic, I'm assuming.
I think that's the theory behind it. I had to
Yeah.
rewatch the scene in the anime because I was like, I swear this is something in the anime that doesn't even work. And back in like the anime and the manga, she does the enchanting vertigo dance, the perfume dance, whatever. She does it on Zoro. He's like struggling with the perfume for a moment, and then she tries to do like a ride by attack on her duck, misses and falls off a building.
It was pretty funny, but I think it's probably for the best they took out some of the stuff like that, because kind of makes it hard. Here's character.
Well, this time we get it paired with Igaram, so the fact that there's like an actual effect of this, I think, is a little more viable in goofy One Piece logic with the saxophone there, and the saxophone, makes it sound cooler. Plus,
Oh, good.
it's used on Luffy, and it's actually allowed to work, and this is a kind of thing that Luffy is kind of classically susceptible to. So I'm willing to allow it. And I mean, as much as it works, is it literally like knocks Luffy out for less than a minute, and then he gets back up mad?
Well, yeah, like 2 minutes or so, he was out. They kind of implied it might have been longer, but
Just long enough for them to drop some exposition and like do a face turn.
Yep.
As I've stated,
And
they
prove Luffy
can't
right.
find that fucking balance with Serious Camp. They get close to it, but almost anytime they get close, it's really only that one episode or half of an episode, a third of an episode, Serious Camp. Then it goes into me thinking, I don't understand how people like this. Not liking One Piece, liking this show that's a live action adaptation. Because what's his name? Jard, the guy who got them rolls in his hair with guns.
Igaram.
Igaram. Yes, that guy needing to first and foremost tie his weapon system into a tie to get it to function. Okay, well, that's one way to hide weapons. A hidden weapon is a hidden weapon. Who am I to question the mechanism? Why the fuck are you doing opera fucking notes when you're shooting? There is literally no explanation. I literally paused it. I was like, and I thought to myself, this isn't going to happen again. He's just doing this because, I don't know, maybe there's some musical shit tied to his character. Does it again. Pause it again. Go to Google. Just to ask, was there a purpose to this? And the answer unequivocally seems to be, nah, Oda probably just thought it was a good idea when he was writing it.
Oh yeah, it's just one of those left field crazy design ideas that I think happened because it was
Crazy's too nice of a word.
silly
I
and
prefer
funny.
fucking stupid.
Well, of course, the hair cannons are canonical.
That
Yep.
doesn't even bother me.
I'm
That
kind of
doesn't
annoyed
bother me.
he didn't
It's the
include the
fucking
sex.
opera shit that goes with it.
That sack shotgun was awesome
Yeah,
and
but
ridiculous.
like I said, the town doesn't bother me. One of the numbers or days of the week holiday people, I forgot what they're called. That group Baroque Works.
Ropework.
Yeah.
Rope works.
Okay, so I still don't know if that buff black chick with the red hair is supposed to be a buff black chick with a red hair, or this is some
Yes.
type of really early perception of a buff trans person. I don't know. Even in the show, Japanese and American, they use a dude for the voice, if memory serves. So I'm just like, I'm gonna let it slide because they only show up for maybe 30 seconds.
I think the Japanese voice actor for that character, or voice actress, was actually like humorously high voiced.
Yes. Uh,
If y'all can remember
and
back that far, that's impressive because theoretically, these episodes were coming out in like 97 or 98. So
Yeah,
that's
I've
impressive.
rewatched the series as recently as in the last like 2 years.
yeah,
Damn.
uh,
It probably
the
take 2
voice
years to
actor
rewatch it.
That's
for
correct.
Miss Monday
You could have
was a physical woman.
sometimes you can just like not say something. Like that is the weebiest shit I have ever heard you say, good sir.
No, I caught on to a React streamer. They were doing JoJo's Reacts, so I got to re-enjoy JoJo's vicariously. And then they started up on One Piece. I'm like, okay, this is a chance for me to re-enjoy One Piece vicariously.
No, that's
So
fine. It's the fact that you knew specifically it would take you 2 years.
Well, it took
That
them.
implies you
Well,
did it.
well, there was a while they were watching an episode a day, and yeah, if you go like 1 or 2 episodes a day, you'll be at it for about 2 years.
thereabout.
Mother of
I
God.
don't really
So
remember the timeline. I'm just throwing it out.
funny little thing about that Baroque work agent Miss Monday. Her Japanese voice actor is the voice of Kirby.
Isn't Kirby also Pikachu?
I don't think so. No, Pikachu's Rika Matsumoto.
Okay.
I
Well,
don't tend to know the details on the Japanese voice performances, but one thing I gotta
me
say
neither.
is Buggy's voice performance in Japanese, you gotta catch it. He does this insane falsetto shriek thing halfway through his lines. It's wild.
Okay, so what's the next arc?
All right. After Whiskey Peak, we're getting into Little Garden, and this is the one that's actually like I believe this is the first multi-episode arc of the live action. We do get a couple differences. We get the giants, which of course, like the giants and the dinosaurs, you got to get nervous about how are they going to handle this? Is this going to look any good?
Yeah.
Zax, what'd you think?
So that was one of my perfect examples of serious camp because that episode, or rather that whole entire little arc, which I think it was an episode and a half, did everything that I want a show like this to kind of sort of do. If you really stop and think about it, everything. Now I didn't read the graphic novels and I didn't watch the cartoon. But for me, as an outsider, everything for me went fucking perfect. The biggest problem I had was those dumbass laughs that they randomly give giant One Piece characters, and I know that they do this for years at a time. They randomly give them a fucked up laugh. Like,
A lot of different characters in One Piece have weird laughs. Yeah.
yeah. And there's like legitimately no point for them to have the weird laugh. Especially when they show up and they'll maybe do it maybe twice before they're either never relevant to the plot again. But I liked all of it. I like Nami and Usopp's reaction. And matter of fact, I like it when they're on the team because it's really just it's really just one and a half chicken. Nami's a half chicken. Usopp is a full chicken. But you see how he was getting character development. Everybody else was pretty much what they were supposed to be and where they needed to be. But I liked all of it. In fact, I I don't hate Sanji. As a concept, I hate Sanji. But as a character in this show, he's acting how he's supposed to do. When he gets those records that he finds of Baroque works following them, and he sees that Zoro has a file and just throws it across the table, doesn't even open it. Then he sees that, wait a minute, how come nobody's trying to kill me? I'm like, bitch, why the fuck do you want them to? But at the same time, I'm just like, this is very much in character with someone who is insecure or someone who is petty. Because even I know it was done as a running gag for the longest time that Sanji never got a bounty put on his head until like way, way later in the series. And he was very butthurt and depressed about it. But also what made it stupid to me is that Zoro, you're a pirate hunter. Your title is Pirate Hunter Zoro. Your wanted name is Roanor the Pirate Hunter Zoro. Why the fuck are you here, bro? And to this day, there is no explanation. He wants to be the best swordsman. Okay, why the fuck are you here? At no point in time did Luffy say he was going to some legendary sword place. At no point in time did he say he was going to bump into some legendary sword people. In fact, as far as I know, Zoro never actually finds out that Shanks is one of the most powerful, used to be one of the most powerful swordsmen in the entire world. Now, if he was trying to go to find Shanks, okay. But as we all know, he's going to get time skipped to post training with Mihawk, who he has a legitimately positive relationship with. Mihawk is basically a coach, and I guess Mihawk understands he wants the title. He's not trying to be a homicidal murderer. And here we are, fucking just like, if you listen to what the character was saying in the first season, you look at what's going on in the second season, there is still no explanation why the fuck Zoro was even here. But here's why I let it slide. Because Zoro is working towards a goal that is independent of the main plot, which is Luffy trying to find the One Piece to become the Pirate King. But because we're in serious camp, and this is 100% pure, undistilled serious camp puree, I liked everything, like I said, except that fucking laugh. I even liked that Mr. 3 was hammed up to be a piece of shit. They knew he was a piece of shit, and then he goes and murders people for no fucking reason? Like, oh, well, Mr. 1 might kill you if you don't complete your order. Hey, dumbass, all you had to do was not pick up the phone, or you could just run the fuck away. There is no reason for you to have killed Miss Sunday or whatever the fuck the yellow girl's name was. The biggest problem was just that dude is flicking boogers when he didn't need to flick boogers. Like, it was one thing when he was flicking boogers, but then when you get the confirmation he doesn't actually have to do it because Zoro is talking mad shit to him. Like, bro, it doesn't matter what you say about me. You're flicking boogers. And I'm just like, yeah, like you ain't coming back from that. And I'm glad someone actually acknowledged how fucking weird it was and nasty, unnecessary. But like I said, other than that, yeah, I'm down with it. Vivi is a bit questionable to me because, well, to be fair, Vivi didn't really have a lot of lines at this point to deal with. And, I get it. She's going to be a temporary cast member, but that particular arc, there wasn't a lot of emotional range for her to do. But to be fair, she wasn't important for the arc. The most important people for the arc was essentially Usopp and technically you could argue Sanji.
Oh yeah, and that's like mostly closely following things. I like that they gave Vivi the Igaram funeral stuff to play off of. I don't recall them doing anything with that in the original take of the arc. I think she's mostly just like kind of reacting to the Giants duel the first time through.
Then we got this moment of, hey, yeah, so Viking funeral.
I think
Yeah.
they did a better job in a lot of ways of introducing giant culture because they've got more to play off of because they can look forward to things about the giants that get defined later in the series and actually mention them here in Little Garden.
And I don't know if this was
Oh,
intentional or not. It doesn't bother me, but the more these episodes go on, you realize very quickly Luffy is like only important for like one episode and then for maybe 5 to 10 minutes per episode. And that doesn't
Oh,
bother me. And yeah, I honestly don't have any negatives about it. I like how it was handled. I don't know how they did it in the books. Sanji and Zoro's irrational hatred and illogical relationship is as irrational as Zoro's reasoning, which it does not exist for why he's hanging around these guys still. But the brief snippets of Nico Robin claiming she, you know, is up to something behind the scenes is also good because that's good foreshadowing for the future season, which they're probably gonna get. Let's not fucking lie. But
yep.
also, it feeds into my long held belief that Kelly is terrifying because she's secretly evil. Now, Exile, you've not been here for a while, and Kelly's probably never going to see this, although, God, I wish she would. But quite literally, I have always said on this show, don't trust Kelly. Kelly comes off as polite and nice, but I promise you, she's extremely shady and probably evil, but primarily just petty. And she will
all right,
always
Billy,
like
get in the
partially,
comments. I need a laptop.
and she will always partially agree with me. That's the worst part. You're partially agreeing with me. And then when I see this motherfucker, I'm like, if you just shrink her nose a little bit and tilt her to the side, this is Kelly. Actually, I don't know if we've shown you the picture of Kelly. We put them on a side by side. Did we show you that, Exile?
Yeah, I saw that in the chat the other day when you were
Yeah,
looking
that's
after
that's
you
actually what Kelly
initially
looks like.
in
They
the
look like
series.
a little sister and a big sister.
Oh,
But yeah, that's right. We get Nico Robin coming back in again, the same way she appears in the anime, sort of. Because of course, in the anime, she first shows up because she's like killing, not killing Igaram in like a fake show. And this time they just had Igaram get taken out by Mr. Five on Whiskey Peak, which was a great change, a great choice. Because they're actually
yeah.
allowed to kill people in live action.
And the anime and manga had a very different and iffy end to Igaram with where, to my recollection, he disguises himself as Vivi and goes off on a different ship with some dummies made to look like the Straw Hat crew.
Yeah,
To
so
be
there's like clearly no chance that that's actually going to work, and then that ship gets blown up, unnecessarily, kinda.
All right, so what's the next
Yup.
arc?
Well, yeah, we're still in Little Garden. So, Little Garden does have a couple changes, and they actually make a good mention of, yes, Luffy doesn't do much until the end. He's usually sidelined for some part of the arc, and they do that here again. And he gets sidelined in one of the ways that he gets canonically sidelined here because he has to tangle with Miss Golden Week, and she's good at disabling him because he's not good at dealing with tricky stuff. But
Yes,
they actually
he's
took him
stupid.
out of some scenes where he would have been impactful to give Usopp more screen time, and it's great. Because normally, I believe he knocks over the candelabra thing by hitting it with a wax lock. Usopp is involved because he's still using like a fire star to help melt some wax and do things like that. But this time through, they integrated Miss Valentine to make Usopp into the star on the scene. Since Valentine and Mr. Five are in many ways like throwaway characters in the original material because they get kind of played for chumps on both Whiskey Peak and on Little
Little
Garden.
Garden.
Yeah, but here in the live action, they use them better. We get a 2v1 fight between Nami, Vivi, and Miss Valentine. I'm not crazy about Miss Valentine's choreography in the scene. They do not really make her power look very good, but it's difficult to make her power look good because
That's
it
what you
involves a
were
lot
mad
of
at?
vertical
I thought
movement.
you'd be mad at Vivi because that shit was lame. She's fighting
I
with
mean,
a locket, a really sharp locket. Okay.
yeah, it's difficult to make her weapon look any good because in the original material, it's supposed to be kind of like an Ivy-esque chain whip that is bladed along its entire length. It's just not realistic to make into a prop. She doesn't use it as a blade as often as I would like. I think if she sometimes used it like a knife, I would like it more. But she actually did get a strangle on Miss Valentine in the little garden uh, fight they're having, and that worked pretty well, I think. I mentioned very briefly, David Desmalkian is a genius Mr. 3. And of course, as Zach said, Mr. 3 is always a piece of shit. He is a slightly different piece of shit this time, because in the original material, he's playing up that he's very professional, and this time he is an artiste. And being an artiste and being Baroque is more realistic to what he's actually doing, where he refers to himself as a professional in the original source material, but he's taking his time with the kills. It doesn't really make sense.
Yeah.
But he eats it up. I love the craziness they did with his nails. They do a lot of close-up shots of both him and Miss Golden Week to sell that they're kind of the crazy pair who is going to give like these unnerving looks into the camera.
Man, Miss Golden Week was fucking creepy.
Oh yeah, they dialed that up a lot. And they didn't explicitly say whether or not her paints are a devil fruit power. I believe they are a devil fruit power in the original material, but here they make it unclear.
In the original material, they are not a devil power.
Oh, I didn't realize that.
I actually looked that one up before, as I was rewatching that bit, and I was like, wait a sec, was that a devil fruit power? Turns out it wasn't. It's just a weird thing she can do.
Sometimes a guy has like a symbol in his elbow and it means he can do like damage at a distance without it being a devil fruit.
Not everything weird has to be a devil fruit power. That's fine.
But yeah, let's see. I think the giant effects and the giant costuming were handled pretty well, about as well as they were going to manage. The giant fight choreography was decent. It's very like weighty and exaggerated. They only did one fight with the giants instead of doing two fights because it's a shorter thing. It makes a lot of sense to do that. They added in some hints about future stuff in ways in the
big
background.
stuff.
Mm-hmm.
The mere mention of the name Nika.
Yep. Huge kind of flash forward. But yeah,
would y'all like to elaborate instead of sounding partially racist?
So the giants talk about the sun god Nika in a couple different ways when they're talking about their funeral. Is that
what Luffy's new form is called or based off of or something?
Yeah, it's a thing. It's a thing very far into the future of the series.
They'll have a new cast by the time they get there.
Maybe.
I mean, maybe it depends on how long it takes.
They think about it. If the time skip arc will be the best place to retire all those characters. So after the time skip, they're good to go, because if they go to where they are right now, with Luffy basically being Goku, them actors are going to be pushing 50. Because remember, all of them are at the end of their 20s, except for Nami. Nami is in her 30s. So if we count up some years, that's a good 10 years away. They will be pushing their 40s. You can't really have a bunch of 40-year-olds trying to pretend that they're 19 and 20.
Well, I don't think it's going to take them the 25 years it has taken the manga to get to a similar point.
Yeah, I just said
10 years. Yeah. Well, the point they're at right now, let's see, where does that map to episode-wise?
They've gotten up to, with the end of season 2 of the live action, we're 91 episodes in.
Okay. So we're about a tenth of the way to Gear 5.
Yeah, so 10
at season
years.
2. Ah, could be. Well, that would put Luffy in his 30s when he gets Gear 5. The actor, that is.
Yeah, I think he's the only one under like 25 or something.
Let's see. Yeah, because
Look
I
at
know
that.
Emily Rudd, they've definitely kind of like made her look more youthful with some of their makeup
Yeah,
and costume
she
choices.
is
Because she's
32 or
older.
33. What is his
Yeah.
name? It's not Guy. His name's not Guy. That's the guy from X-Men 97. What is the name of the guy who plays Luffy?
Inaki
Inaki
Godoy.
Godoy. Yeah.
Hmm.
How old is Iñaki Godoy? Oh yeah, he'll be around. He's 22.
Yeah, I think he's the youngest cast member.
Yeah.
Basically everybody else in the main crew is born 95 or 96. After a quick look. Oh, and Morgan Davies, the actor for Kobe, is 25, so they can be around for a while.
Yeah, and it's kind of ironic because all the characters who are supporting cast members who maybe show up once every 3 arcs, they're good no matter what the fuck happens. But the main
Yeah.
cast, yeah, we can run you for a good, 6, 7 seasons.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see. I mean, if we're still going 10 seasons later, we will have delivered on the premise above and beyond, I think.
Well, yeah, because you got to remember 10 seasons for a show that only has like an 8-season situation is less than 100 episodes. So, realistically speaking, you know, there's nothing saying that they have to stop just because the cast members get old. If theoretically this shit is popular still, they could do it just like Power Rangers, except the difference is the premise and the characters don't change, the actors do. So, which has happened on Power Rangers. So, yeah, I'm saying that in the positive way possible. I don't think these characters are like terrible or nothing. Yeah, Nami looks her age. Like, I don't think she looks terrible or nothing. I have nothing against her. If anything, I am one of those people who love to contribute to the idea of her being related to Paul Rudd without them both knowing it, just because it's funny. But also, what if it ends up being true? That would be hilarious.
Yeah.
That's the worst thought I've ever had about her. So I'm not saying I want these actors to like go away because I fucking have a problem with them.
Yeah, it's just a reality. Like,
Yeah.
if you have people who look like they're in their 40s, can they really play characters that are supposed to be in their 20s?
I feel like
That's a
there
rarity.
would be an exclusion though for Chopper and Brooke because they're
Well, I know there's going to be an exclusion for them. Come on now, we ain't even talking about them.
And of course, Brooke is canonically what, like
98 or
90?
something. Yeah,
Something like that.
yeah, he's
Yeah, because he's dead for 50 years, and he's like an adult before that. All right. Let's see. Is there anything else to mention for Little Garden? I think they did a great job
not
on the
really.
Unluckies in Sanji's scene there. And
yeah.
Yeah, Sanji
Sanji,
came in clutch after basically being out of it the whole fucking time, and
Like
all of his scenes, work. I still don't understand why is it when Sanji gets into a fight sometimes, like there's a cutaway, they keep doing it, and it only happens to Sanji. They did it in the beginning of the season, and they did it near the end of it when they're on Little Garden. I'm just like, what the fuck? Why are they doing this?
yeah, I mean, each of the characters poses a kind of unique challenge in terms of realizing their anime moveset in live action. Zoro, of course, cannot actually fight with a sword in his mouth in live action.
Well,
So they do that
can.
very
They
sparingly.
just not gonna do it. And also, here's something I've always thought was dumb. The majority of his techniques don't even require his sword to be in his fucking mouth.
It's
And he
very
doesn't
rare.
swing them.
It's like the silly aspect of Zoro.
But
I do like that they use Zoro for jokes periodically. Like
I
his
like
bit
that
inside
Zoro is
Laboon
the
where he's
one
like, I make a
character.
bigger sword.
Yeah. I do like that Zoro is the one character who does not shout out his techniques. Because it's still stupid. I'm sorry. Not really sorry. I don't even know why I said that. In fact, I am sorry I said sorry. It's fucking stupid. But when Zoro's not doing it, he comes out looking like the cool character. He can
And of
admit that
course,
he
they
worries
did
about his
change that
friends.
for the live action because in the anime, he's shouting techniques alongside everybody, even with a sword in his
I
mouth.
bet you,
Yeah.
what if Mike and you said, "Oh yeah, I'd love to play this character," but he put in his contract, "I don't have to shout out my techniques." I would fucking love that dude even more.
Yeah, maybe. Who knows?
Yeah. So what comes after Little
But
Gardens?
yeah,
Is that
but
it?
Sanji, I think they put I think they do Sanji off screen a lot because the things Sanji does in the anime are physically impossible. They make no sense.
Bro, this whole show is about camp. All things are possible in camp. My thing is, I
Yep.
think the issue is just that they themselves don't want to spend a lot of time because either A, they think his moves would look too boring, or B, they're just lazy and they don't consider him a combat draw internally, like in the
Hmm.
production staff. Because quite
Yeah.
literally, a lot of his shit is easy to pull off with little levels of special effect, especially before he gets whatever fire or airwalking powers he gets. I don't really understand it before he gets any of those. So he's really just doing basic kicks. They can get a stunt double, or they can put him in a green screen with some wiring. But no, I literally think it's just they don't consider his fights interesting enough, which is why they do that. Which is stupid because fighting on a shitty ship deck where you can barely see against some dude who can break your shins because he got fucking bats, I would legit have loved to have seen that because that's an interesting concept. And finding an interesting concept in the world of action that gets on TV is practically a rarity in and of itself. But nope, it's off screen. Usopp hears the sounds, and then the dude just falls through a hole. No, fuck you.
Yeah, because they it's like Taz Skyler, the actor for Sanji. He had to take the time for this to learn how to do bottle lifting and drink mixing and stuff like that. And I think there are some scenes that he sells the emotions on really well, but I do not think he can like kick as high as his own neck, which is kind of what Sanji requires. And that's because it's just like an insane thing for somebody to do if they're not like a full time martial artist.
Or possibly a gymnast.
Yeah, yeah.
I get that
I wouldn't
theoretically
be
he has
surprised
the
if they
most
used.
technical education of all the characters. Zoro is from Rurouni Kenshin shit, so he already got sword fighting down. Nami really ain't got to do shit because all this implying that Nami's going to use her bow staff to do technical shit and fight with it, we all know that ends up being a letdown because she just basically goes to Usopp and then just gets conveniently as the second gadgeteer and just does shit with electricity, which I'm not going to even get into that stupidness. But
Well, I like
then
that
we
they
get
actually set that up in the live action because in the live action they have multiple opponents comment on her staff being a weak weapon, and they break it too. So they're
yeah,
actually like leaning into the foreshadowing of that.
yeah, I'm
Yep.
fine with that, but also it is a fucking weak weapon. But what gets me is just that here we are in 2026, which means this show is being worked on in 2024, 2025, and Sanji has significantly a lot less to do in season two. He has less screen time in season two. He already finished the culinary training that he had to do. My hat's off to him. He's already finished, or he had to also learn bullshit bottle flipping. But then again, that was something that was only utilized one time. Whereas with the cooking skill shit, they're gonna go back to that at some point in time, on and off, because it has to pay off. And sometimes it's just a good scene filler, or good B-roll footage to show him Taz cooking. Really want to know if that's that motherfucker's real name? I swear. But here
That's a
you
good
are in
question.
season two. He not doing none of that shit. What, y'all couldn't find time to have an actual sequence plan the fuck out? Like, really think about it. Anytime he get into a fight in season two, he's fighting with somebody there, and it just jump cuts back to him. Really think about it, especially in the
Yeah,
next arc.
because if you do reflect back on Zoro's fight scene in the bar, a lot of that there's very little cuts in it. It's a pretty smooth scene, And we have not gotten a scene like that for Sanji by and large, because on some level you have to kind of like wire act him, and it's difficult to make it look good.
It never looked good, even when they did in the first season. They had this dude upside down with his ear and hair to the fucking ground, shouting out some fucking technique, and I just thought, I am so glad Zoro does not do this. and when Usopp does it, like, bitch, you're going to be called the Sniper King. What sniper you know is yelling out right before they shoot you, and then you look at them dead in the face like they can't see you shooting them. And that's
Yeah,
why,
but
like I said,
of course, Usopp has to yell out his stuff because he is absolutely like more bark than bite the character.
you say that, but you could apply that same logic with the exception of Bark to Bite to fucking Usopp. I mean, not Usopp, to Zoro. But I've already said a billion times over, and I'm sure other people have as well. The saying the name thing shouldn't does. There's no purpose to it. Even when the the devil fruit users do it, they could just think in their heads what they're gonna try to do, and then do it on screen. That's kind of what I liked, even though they did yell their shit out. That's what made Yu Yu Hakusho so special, because people aren't gonna sit there and explain their fruits, tell you what they do. They're just gonna hit you with something, and you might get a title that shows up on screen telling you the move name, and then the narrator explains what the move is. If they'd done that, I think they would have a completely different audience, because I know people who sat up there and told me they tried to watch it even though they liked the cartoon, and they just checked out because they didn't like that people were reciting their technique names. And then if you stop and think about it, they don't even do it consistently. Number 3 didn't name his booger flicking shit at all, and the chick he was
Yeah.
teamed up with never said the name of her shit when she did her gravity manipulation stuff. But then you got the dude who doesn't have a devil fruit with guns in his head going, ma, calling out his mama, mama, while he's shooting basic ass guns. Like, it's not even that it's there, it's that it's not consistent. So yeah,
All
my
right.
biggest problem is just I don't hate Sanji, but I feel like Sanji was mishandled in this season.
Yeah, I don't think they can. Like I said, I don't think they can do much more with him because it's so hard to make fight scenes for him look good. So the best scenes we're gonna get with Sanji are probably his like kind of pseudo espionage thing, which is an ongoing trend he has through a lot of arcs. Um, I'll be interested to see what they do with him for Skypiea because I think they need to rewrite a lot of Skypiea. We'll have to see where that goes.
Yeah, they might.
Yeah. I will say that I am liking the show, but for everything that I like or that gets me to the next 5 or 10 minutes, there's going to be at least a whole 2 minutes or 3 minutes of me going, why am I doing this to myself? It's a weird place to be. It's not that I hate the show. It's like I can't figure out if I like it.
All right, let's figure out if you liked the Drum Island arc. So we go to this wintry kingdom. We have to meet a doctor. We meet Chopper. We deal with Wapple. All of that stuff. How'd that hit you?
Okay, so my only real problem with that shit was, first and foremost, you can see where the CG budget went. And personally, I feel like it was overdone because they could have done a lot of that shit with just bullshit ass props. That dude's mouth transformation shit ate up most of the budget. You can tell. But we're not really talking about the budget. We're talking about it as an entire arc. So look, I'm gonna just flat out say it. I am not offended by Tony Chopper. In fact, if you grew up with a little guy I like to call Nanaki, or as the ladies like to call him, Red 13 from Final Fantasy VII, you're okay with him as a concept. It feels natural. Here's what I actually do get annoyed by, and this is one of the only things. I actually don't hate the arc, but there was 2 things I thought were just fucking stupid. They based him off of Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer, but they get his name from a doctor who just decides to call him Tony Chopper. Hey, dumbass, why not just call him Tony Chopper or Anthony Chopper? Why does his first name have to be his middle name? And then Chopper just accepts it. You accept that your first name is also your middle name. Well, you could have just been a first name and a surname. But we gonna move on from that ridiculousness, and it was ridiculous. It's just like his fucking hair. Oh, but it's comic accurate. I don't care. It was still ridiculous. So, second thing, and this is one of the only things, when Tony the Chopper transforms into a humanoid looking buff form, he still sounds like a middle-aged woman pretending to be a 11-year-old little boy before he hits puberty. So fucking
Yep, that is a canonical part. Is transformations do not change his voice,
Yep.
with
until he goes
one
to the
exception.
giant form. Yeah, the giant form. But you see, but that's literally the only thing that bothered me because I'm able to take. Well, I won't say I was able to take all of it seriously. There's a dude fighting with hairs that look like they didn't come from his head and using static cling bullshit. Okay.
Afro dude.
And he was a boxer too? Like what the fuck? But
It was weird.
yes, thank you. But those were like the only two things that were weird for me. Literally, I don't have an issue with it. Zoro acted like Zoro. Usopp felt like Usopp. Vivi felt like an outcast who's not really here, but she's just in the background. Which, to be fair, that's what happened in the comics, so I'm told. And Dr. Kureha was Dr. Kureha, uh, which is a very noticeable character trait. A character who doesn't want to admit to their feelings, or they don't want to admit. Not I'm gonna say they don't want to admit to their feelings. They don't want to admit to their empathy level. So nothing about that bothered me. The Rudolph reference pisses me off because it leads absolutely nowhere. And that's about it. Like, I do not hate how it was done, how it was handled. I don't hate the writing. And this is what I'm talking about. We got Sanji in an actual coherent and good fight. And the only time there's a cutaway is when his homie, who's right next to him, is fighting, or we got Usopp and Zoro fighting on the grounds. And Vivi was so invisible, I don't even remember what the fuck she was doing during that. Oh yeah, they had the grappling hook up to go and tell everybody what was going down on the ground. So they found a way to kick her out of the fight. But my thing is just that they still found a way to make her useful, but it was just so very annoying that I can take everything going down with Tony seriously until he turns into that humanoid form and opens his mouth. Oh, he transformed off screen. Okay, I get it. That's fine. It makes sense. But then when you hear that voice and that grown ass man, like, I still want to know who plays his adult form because he looks too much like the guy from that show, The Bear. There's a chef on The Bear who's becoming really good with desserts. He looks like that guy wearing a mask. And I hope it's not the same guy. Because picturing that voice coming out of his voice.
Heavy
But
Point Chopper is played by Gavin Gomes. I don't know if that's supposed to be Gomes or Gomez because it's with an S instead of a Z. They
from
just
the
have
Bear.
like some stunt roles, things like that, from what I can
Okay.
see.
Okay, that's fine. So fucking I don't have any issues with it. Zoro shows his true character, which it's been implied that Zoro has a level of nobility that supersedes what your title is, which is good. And this is why I even really know about fucking One Piece. It wasn't even because it was on 4Kids. A lot of my friends, when I was little, they were actually into One Piece. Like, okay, good for you. I think it sounds kind of dumb. It was like, oh, you love Zoro. I was like, why? Oh, he kind of act like you. I don't run around with swords in my fucking mouth because they're showing me this character. It's like, no. Like, he really only fights people if he has to. And I'm like, I think that's most people. Yeah, but you don't care if people
Now,
say that they're bad. You wait till you actually confirm if they're bad. It's like,
I think the characters you would like are probably Law or Fujitora.
I don't know who
Yeah.
Fujitora is.
Yeah, I think
Fujitora
you're right.
is a like blind swordsman, Navy
Oh,
admiral who shows
the,
up much later,
the
and we
characters
find
that I
out.
know I like are Jinbei and Zoro, but my level of knowledge is so limited I don't even think that really means anything. Jinbei and Zoro, I want to like Shanks, but my problem with Shanks is Shanks can fix a lot of the fucking problems going on, but he just says, fuck it, I'd rather sit around and drink. I'm like, you're a pirate. What the fuck are you doing? Like, you're not stealing from people. You're not helping the world government. You're not helping the evil ass pirates. What do you actually do? And then they just confirm, oh, he's actually got a twin. It's like, so basically, he's a whole ass character who's meant to be super strong, but he has no relevance to the fucking plot.
Man, somebody is drip feeding you spoilers at like the weirdest rate.
Yup.
It was
This
more like one sitting. I was like, hey, whatever happens to this guy who I know isn't going to show up anymore? Oh, you have to be talking about Shanks. It's like, does he have red hair? Yeah, yeah. Oh, well, this evil. Well, this twin brother showed up. It's like, oh, was he evil? I don't know. But Oda
Wow, I
said
gotta
that if he has
I
an eye
gotta get
patch,
on this guy who's telling you this stuff and slap him silly.
and but Oda said that if he puts in a party with an eye patch, the story's almost over. And his brother has an eye patch. I was like, so Shanks lost an arm and his brother lost an eye? Yeah. Is there any like symbolism behind that? Like, I don't know. Okay. And that's as far as it
Well,
got.
there's definitely stuff about it, but there's no reason to go into it when you have zero context. I'd have to spend 20 minutes explaining something to you.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah, no,
so
I
the
totally
fact that
understand. That's why
somebody
people
just
still get
dropped
mad
this
at
on
me.
you out of nowhere is an absolute tragedy.
Well, I wouldn't call it tragic because I was damn sure not about to watch 1,000 episodes. But
Well, yeah, there's a reason why you're not going to watch 1,000 episodes. You've
because it's
had a
stupid.
bunch of shit poorly explained to you by people who didn't care.
Oh hell no. No, it's because I got off the filler bandwagon with Naruto. If I didn't like it with Naruto, why would I like it with One Piece?
Didn't have
Exactly.
that much color.
Bullshit.
In over like what, near 1,200 something episodes, want to say 9% of it's filler.
That is a fucking lie.
No, it is not.
Yes, it is.
I believe officers are about correct here.
Nope,
There's
nope.
like
Because I fucking asked about that shit because it made no sense to me that somehow One Piece has over 1,000 episodes, and then they got a new show coming out, and they're calling it season 2. So the one and only time in my life I did a One Piece deep dive, I was like, somebody explain this shit. So what they do
according
is,
to a Google search, One Piece is a total of 94 filler episodes, which is 8% of the series.
yeah. So here's why I call bullshit. So I did a deep dive, which means I'm going to ask someone who actually was obsessed with this shit because I am not about to sit here and watch this shit. So the way they do it is instead of making entire seasons and arcs, at least like they used to, a filler for the show, what they do is they drip feed what actually happens in the books, and then they pad the episode out with either A, flashbacks, or talking sequences that are not in the books. So their filler is literally infusing itself with their canonical episodes. But we don't have a name for that technique.
We call it bad pacing.
I mean,
There
I would
were
just call it
definitely
bad
some
writing.
badly paced arcs. They happen a good ways into the show.
Yeah.
There's a couple arcs that are like infamous for being really poorly paced.
Yeah. So that's how they do it. Now, if you remove those, half of those episodes only come out to 8 to 11 minutes or less. But on top of that, if they're completely removed, you speed up how fast you get through One Piece. But guess what? Nobody, well, someone would if you paid them probably, but at the time of this recording, nobody has sat down and removed every single little chunk of filler per episode from the entirety of One Piece and made a version that's literally everything that happens in order. Like, the Dragon Ball Kai thing, which is literally, here's Dragon Ball in the Z era, which Z is not actually a manga. The show was called Z because they got a different age rating, because of what was happening later on in the series. But Dragon Ball Kai was actually Dragon Ball from beginning to end, with everything cut out. You would have to make a show like that, but instead of going through however many episodes of Dragon Ball Z there are, you would have to do it for all 1,000+ episodes and then make sure you put the shit in order. Hell the fuck no. It is infused filler.
The One Piece remake has been talked about for a while, I'm trying to look up and see if they have a date for it yet, but it doesn't seem as though they do. My understanding is pretty much when we're getting into the last year of the manga is when they're going to start the anime remake. So that should be sometime within the next 2 years. We will start to see an anime remake that is covering everything in a denser way. And of course, the live action is covering things in a denser way as we go too.
Significantly dense way.
Mm-hmm. So
Yeah.
for Drum Island, in terms of the cuts, they don't meet Wapple before getting into the island, but we do get an extra scene with Wapple getting his devil fruit, which we never had in the anime. But it gives us another scene with Nico Robin, which is great.
Yup. It was definitely a good addition.
They did cut some stuff that I was unfortunate to have lost in Drum, as
Such
we're
as
supposed to have the Lapins and hiking bears during the climb sequence when Luffy is trying to make his way up. The hiking bear is just like a little joke thing, but the Lapins are actually like abominable snow rabbits.
They're fucking huge and jacked, and they will kick your ass.
I don't
They
understand
did
why
for
Luffy
Sanji.
didn't just literally stretch his arms every single fucking climb step. Like, what was the point of not stretching? This is when your powers make the most sense, Luffy.
I think it's demonstrated that using his power takes more energy than not stretching.
To my understanding, rubber doesn't really like cold.
The climb sequence, though, both like him catching Sanji by stretching his neck, the way he's got Nami over his back, the last bit with him bloody carrying himself over the top. That's about bar for bar. It's almost the exact scene. They cut a few other things from Drum that I think were kind of dumb or annoying, like Zoro going for a swim with his shirt off. They still had a shirt off moment just because.
Yeah.
I just like how Usopp is somehow offended by that shit.
It was pretty funny, yeah. Put on
I
your
think
shirt.
it's like an audience insert moment where it's like a cheeky reference to the way things played out in the anime, I think, where he's like, "That's stupid, put a shirt on," and that's kind of Usopp speaking out for the audience to say, "Hey, this is something really stupid that happened in the original telling of Drum. Let's not do it again."
Kind of like how in the Laboon arc, why don't you move inside of him?
Yeah, I honestly
What's
don't
the nice
have
name?
any negatives for Drum Island. So I think what they cut sounds like it was reasonable or it was a budgetary concern. And
Yeah.
For the Lapin government budget, yeah.
I am curious, since we're about to conclude, though. I'm gonna ask you first, officer. Uh, what grade would you give season 2 and why?
Ah, on a 1 to 10 scale, or the
I said grades, not
a
numbers.
all right.
Or
I
let it-
would give it a pretty solid B+, A-. I rather
Bro,
enjoyed.
pick one.
Let's go A-.
Okay,
There
and
was
why?
a lot. There was. Feel like the some of the moments where they use practical effects, they could have enhanced the practical effects a little bit by including some CG with it. Because I greatly appreciate their use of practical effects, but with regard to Chopper's like big form, I feel like they could have used a little bit of CG there, make it look a little less jarring. But Wapple, he was perfect. Their use of CG with practical effects with him was good. It was really good. But it's just there was little things that they didn't include that I, as a longtime fan, was like, they could have had that. which keeps it from getting the full A or an A.
All right, Exile, your turn.
All right, I am going to give it a flat A. There are very few things I can picture them doing better for this, and they did improve on the original telling of the story. I like the way they rearranged some things. I love the set design and the way they handled the Wapple fight, where Luffy's just kind of making fun of him or not taking it seriously half the time. I love that Wapple is well characterized as such a petulant child with some extra voice lines they threw in there. I love the monster soldiers, which were original to the live action. The monster soldiers were not originally in there, and I think it's a really great addition to give Zoro and Usopp like good, meaningful action to do, and to like sell how goddamn creepy and body horror-y Wapple's power gets to be. It also gives like Dalton more to do. It's pretty great. Despite Marimo, the Afro boxer guy, being a very silly anime logic character, I think they did his anime logic better. From what I remember, originally his Afro bits like stuck to people and grew and were cumbersome, and they
Static
could like set them on fire. The little like static electricity goofiness was better goofiness, and I did like that entire fight sequence. But for the show overall, once again, excellent costuming and makeup work, significant improvements to various story arcs. I enjoyed the actors, especially Ward, Dustmalkian, McKenyu, all did a great job. Emily Rudd did a great job. We had scenes that are flash forwarding in Sanji's backstory, where he's hanging out with Nami during her recovery, giving us tidbits of storytelling that we would normally get much, much later down the line, but it's very naturally blended in here. I liked the smoke effects that they used for Smoker and the extra Smoker and Tashiki scenes involving, I believe it was Miss Thursday and Mr. 11. Um, yeah, pretty great. I cannot think of very much they could do better, except that they didn't have Disney money. Like they're not making the Mandalorian out here.
The
That's funny.
soldiers, by the way, that is a thing Wapple did in the anime, but I think he did it to his two lieutenants, combine them as one.
Yeah, he made Chess Marimo in
Yeah.
the anime in one bit, and they did have like one soldier that was two guys to carry on that.
Yeah.
Okay,
It
so
was.
for me, I give it a B. Uh, like I said, they need to figure out where the line is for Serious Camp. That's where I feel like they can thrive as a series because right now it's riding coattails, which to be fair, there's a lot of coattails you could ride. However, if they want to pull people, new people, they need to stay in that Serious Camp area because they can't go super serious because then, well, I think people like y'all would get mad and I wouldn't, and then they'll grow a divided fan base, which is, well, is it depending on who you ask, that's a good or a bad thing. Resident Evil has had this problem, practically since like 1999 or 2000, where you got two fan bases that like what they see and they like what they get, but then once you start trying to find a balance, you know, people aren't happy. So you basically have to cater to two markets when you're supposed to be catering to one. That's a bad place to be in as a producer, designer, director. As a consumer, it's an everyone wins situation. But as we all know, if everybody wins, somebody has to lose. So in that case, it's really the development staff who are losing. But, you know, that's just a unique analogy that could happen with anything that goes from cartoon to live action. But in the case of One Piece, shooting for that serious camp marker is the smartest thing they can do because the characters take their lives seriously. They take what happens to them and what's going on seriously, except for Luffy, but we're not even going to get into that. And maybe to a lesser extent Usopp. But everyone else, the one-ofs, the characters you're not going to see for years and decades, or they just died and you're not gonna even IMDb them fucking 3-4 months from now. You're just gonna call them by their number, literally. Those characters, they blended in so well and they work so well until you get to Booger Flinger guy, number 3. I'm not letting that go. Once he
he's Mr.
confirmed he didn't have to do that. What's his number?
Mr. 5.
Oh yeah, number 5. When they confirmed he didn't have to do that, that's when I was really like, they don't seem to understand what makes them special. It's not that they're actually respecting the source material, which no, that's cool. That don't make you special. What made them special is the serious camp. They found where the serious camp was. My problem is I don't think they know that. Or they don't really care. So when I watch a show, I can't be torn between trying to figure out, is this a good show or a bad show? I need to just know, is this a good show or a bad episode? Or a bad show that maybe has a good episode or 2. And the fact that I don't know and I struggle with this, not because of my inability to accept what this shit is, which is camp. I got no problem with camp. My struggle is ordained by the fact that this is the type of show that nobody knows is going to age well or not. Or is going to be for anybody outside of the original fan base who are at this point damn near zealots. So I give it a B because I'm confused. But if I remove my confusion, they got a lot of positives when it comes to set design. The music is practically non-existent, but we'll just say ambience and sound effects, which is pretty good. Character believability is a question mark because that's not something that goes for just one character. That's for everybody. So as much sense as Usopp makes to me, number 5 makes no sense to me. That type of thing. But the writing is good because if you mute anytime somebody announces their attack, you're probably not going to have another reason to mute something unless you're in the middle of laughing your ass off. Like when that dude pulls out his guns and goes, "Mom, mom, mom." Yeah. Like, is the attack named Mom, Mom, Mom? What's the situation?
Igura Papoy was an attack, and
that's the name of the attack, Igura Pafoy?
Yeah, when he pulls out the guns, yeah.
So there literally is no reason for him to fucking do that. Which is ironic in a show where 99% of the primary cast recite the title of their attacks.
I was thinking of it as a weird battle cry. It's the same way you have a character like going crazy on a machine gun and they're shouting. He's tying in like the musical saxophone playing setup of what has been shown in these characters so far with this suddenly violence.
Yeah, but listen to that whole first part. You say weird battle cry. If it's weird and it throws me off, even in a show that's gonna be filled to the brim with camp, that's already a problem. But that's why you see I give it the B, because the show is competently put together. This cannot be denied. The action sequence leave a little bit of work, but to be fair, that little bit of work is not because of the inability to sell the fight sequences. Sometimes it's just the editing and sound effects that don't match up, or sometimes it's just people shouting out their fucking technique names. It is a powerful enough deterrent to make sure I don't give it like an A grade or something. I ain't gonna lie to you. So, the way I'm looking at things right now is, as someone who is an unbiased non-fan, but just in the ether, I can say this show is put together competently. It's produced by people that try to like and love what they're doing. Totally agree. But that does not change that while watching it, things can happen that make you naturally want to just click the fuck off for people like me. the people they're trying to incorporate into the audience. But I also know that's not going to deter, people like y'all. So I'm comfortable with giving it a B because the goal of doing these things is not to give a biased review. It's to compare and contrast someone who may be familiar with the subject material with someone who isn't. That's what makes our reviews a little bit different. We're not going off of what does a fan think. It's what does a fan think plus what does somebody who maybe barely knows shit about it think. That's why the Castlevania reviews were so fun for me. Because with Castlevania, almost anybody who plays video games is an indirect fan or at least knows of some of these characters. But
Or not, yeah.
because we also understand the concept of being unbiased and good writing, we can immediately go in and not have to worry about a bias showing up. Because I'm going to tell you, one of the biggest problems I have with every season of Castlevania, which I think I reviewed all of them, I don't understand why this audio levels are such a fucking problem. And I thought it was just me. Nope, it's not. ADR was not properly done. But anyways, so yeah. Now you know how we feel. One Piece gets 2 A's and a B, which brings your grade down to a B, which means it's my fault. I regret nothing.
I think it averages to B plus.
It's
Get in the
still a B.
comments.
Yeah, good luck with that. I'm telling you, he's not even gonna get to 20. With that being said, I will see you guys in the next one, and I believe the next one is I'm interviewing either Sonic, Knuckles, and Shadow at the same time, or the voice actors, or it's going to be an artist interview who's done some like cover art for Marvel or something. Can't remember. As y'all know, I got a big back catalog because of the asshole or assholes plural who took over this account and tried to make it, a sanctuary to Trump. Fuck him, by the way. Yeah. All right. With that being said, I will see you guys in the next one, and y'all have a nice night.
All right, have a good one.